Okay, I'm getting messages that it's hard to stream today. I don't know what's happening today, but the streaming process today has been a little bit on the difficult side. Not sure why that is and why there seems to be trouble streaming here. But nonetheless, we may continue. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, looks like on Facebook end it's hard to stream, but okay. So even if we don't go live, you probably will see this later. And so I'm gonna move through this for you because I want to share with you a absolutely magical way to uncover and discover your purpose. You see, I have been looking for a way to discover purpose and focus on career and do what you love for so long. I mean, literally as a child, I've been looking for ways to discover my purpose and discover, what's the purpose and why am I here, right? What's the ultimate goal here? And this last week, I actually was deep in meditation around this and deep into trying to figure out, hey, what is it that will help me to uncover this mystery? And I've written lots of books. I've read lots of books, written lots of journal pages on this. And not just for me, because I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to do was this: speak, motivate, and set people on fire with motivation and instigation for your greatness. And so that's always been my thing. But when it comes to working with other people and helping other people, I'm like, how do I help other people find this, right? I just call it passion. We all usually call it passion. But recently, I've been introduced to a concept of philosophy called Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese term that was coined in the study of literally studying people in a place called Okinawa. And these folks, by capita, lived the longest, like very long, into their hundreds. And so, but one of the things they were finding was not only were they living longer, they were living happier, they were living with better outcome. And no one was retiring from work, right? There's also this thing called retirement from work. And so they were finding that they were like, what is it that these people are doing that they're living longer, healthier, happier, and they're doing, continue to do work? Is because they're doing what they love. And now I know that we've heard many times, do what you love, you will, find happiness. And ultimately, I'm like, no, I get it. But this whole concept of finding what you love is so challenging for people. I mean, literally, when I was 16 years old, sitting in front of a television, watching this guy, I thought he was preaching, but it turns out to be a motivational speaker. I thought to myself, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be. That's it. I found it. Here's my thing. And my dad, soon after that, actually put me on stage to do my first sermon. That's where I'm a PK's kid, hence Sunday service. And put me on stage for the first time. And I was like, done. I'm in. This is amazing. I grabbed the mic and they started laughing. I didn't realize I was also a comedian, and it was perfect. So, but as I went through my life, I thought, how do I help people find this thing that really just moves and drives you, right? So as you're watching this, the key here to consider is, okay, so say, for example, you have to redesign your life right now. Say, for example, you're currently doing something, or perhaps you currently have a business, or you currently have something that's going on, that because all that's happening, you've been sort of forced to reconsider and rethink about what it is that you're doing. So here's what we got. There's this thing, like I say, called Ikigai, and I'm going to use this whiteboard, which is terrible right now for you to be able to see. But I'm going to walk us through this because as I walked through this myself, it was unbelievable what I discovered. Anyway, so what Ikigai stands for is actually reason for being. And here's where, after learning this methodology, I started thinking, your job, your 9 to 5, basically keeps you up at night, stresses you out. Your Ikigai wakes you up, allows you to rise up in the morning and get excited about what you got to do for the day. So here's what I discovered. So this thing called Ikigai, it's, like I said, it's a philosophy. And it consists of understanding your values, how you engage in relationships, literally the work that you do, the hobbies that you do, the things you get paid for, and the things that you don't get paid for. It's just a combination of all these things that you truly are passionate about, you love, that will help you. But here's the cool thing. I'm going to break it down for you because when I did this, it literally blew my mind away how awesome this concept is. So there's many layers, and later we'll talk about the many layers of it, but there's 4 quadrants. And so if you have a sheet of paper as you're watching this, now or later, consider do this. Take a sheet of paper and break it into 4 quadrants. right? So to take a sheet of paper, break it into 4 quadrants. We're going to look at the 4 different elements that consist of your Ikigai, your reason for being, your reason for waking up in the morning. Okay, why do you wake up in the morning? What's the thing that drives you? And I always heard people say, wake up for something great. Well, how do you know? What's that great thing? Because if I have to get up to go to my job, it pays the bills. But what wakes me up, right? This fire within you. So the first quadrant, and there's a little heart here. You guys can tell. By the way, we're gonna have a better flip chart situation in our next time. But we're gonna work with what we got, right? So the first thing we want to look at is, what are the things you love? Here's the cool thing in this quadrant. It could be anything and everything. So I love to read. I love to read novels. I love to read novels about, faraway lands. Like anything and everything you love. The things you love to do, you put here. And it doesn't have to be like super complicated. Just literally things you love. For me, oh my gosh, I love so many things. First of all, I love to eat good food, quality food. Gourmet type restaurants. Before the pandemic, I used to. I had this process where I would actually literally every month, and then it became every quarter, I would try to visit my area's highest end restaurants, because I wanted to experience what it was to have like exquisite food, plated in a grape on a big old plate. You know what I mean? Like I just wanted to experience this, so I made it a point to do that. And to be a connoisseur of great restaurants, because people kept asking me when they would come into the town, what's a good place to eat? What's a good, brunch? And I thought, a place for brunch, that's nothing. I love brunches. Brunches, oh my God, I love brunches. I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, right? And all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? Let's research this. Who else on YouTube is focused on just on peanut butter and jelly? So anyway, these are all the things that you absolutely love. And you don't have to be good at them. You haven't had to get paid for them. You just love to do these things, right? And so as I was doing this list, I listed all the things I love. I also love, by the way, to watch movies, and not only watch movies, but watch movies with the script. This is the fun thing. Hey guys, welcome to the broadcast. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys here. So as I engage in watching movies, I'll have a script, and it was so much fun for me. So I wrote down everything that I love. Just things that I love. I love shoes, guys. I love shoes. If anybody knows me, I love shoes. I love pocket squares, jackets, accessories, jewelry, etc. Just things I love. Taking long walks in the park, right? What are the things you love? I want you to list out all the things that you love, you just love, okay? You find joy in, all right? I don't care if it's, I love researching things, researching wines from California, Southern California, just things you love. And there's no judgment on this, there's things you love, okay? And you start making this list. Then from this list of things you love, didn't have to take very long, what are you good at? Now, this is the area where you actually are good at. And by the way, the things you love are things that you completely lose yourself in. Like time passes, you didn't even realize time is passing. These are the things that you love. Then what are the things that you're good at? Now, these are the things that oftentimes, and sometimes this list between what you love and what you're good at can kind of compare. For me, it was, I'm good at speaking. I'm good at engaging a group. I'm good at being able to help somebody get clear in their purpose, get clear in their career. Like, that's some things I'm good at. I'm good at comedy, good at being on stage, good at, presenting, etc. So what are the things that you feel good that you're actually good at? Okay, this is your list you make here. And then what are some things that either you have gotten paid for or things that you could get paid for, right? So, right, I've gotten paid for training, for speaking, for coaching. I've gotten paid for just coming up. I could get paid for coming up with ideas. Something that I actually love that came from this list too, things that I love is actually, I love naming things. I don't know why that is. I just love naming things. And so these are things that you can actually get paid for. And then on the top quadrant, trends. What are the trends that are happening in the world right now? And we all have experienced a really phenomena, right? This whole working from home, parenting from home, homeschooling for some people, being on Zoom all the time. What are some trends? And people are getting, Zoom fatigue, right? So what are some things that are happening currently in the world or in your environment? So say, for example, you have kids, and something that you've noticed is that, people are starting to figure out how to do, some other sort of social gathering, social distancing gathering, after long days of Zoom, right? They find a way to do some fun Zooms, right? What are they doing? So what are the trends that are happening in the world? And here's where the magic comes in. And because the fact that this live didn't go, we were having technical difficulties and it didn't go till now, I'm going to save another breakdown that I'm going to do next Sunday because it's the first of the year and we got to jump into it. So listen. So here, now you should have a list of the things that you love. You have a list of things that you're good at, and things that you're good at. Again, remember, things that you literally are good at. The things you love could be anything and everything under the sun that you engage in, but you lose your time. You just lose yourself in it. Then, what are things that you have been paid for or could get paid for? Right? You know what? I could get paid for possibly producing music. That's something. It's a new little hobby that I started getting into. Let's produce music. And what are the trends that are happening? The trends are really important because this is what the world needs. You see, Ikigai, it's all about a blended combination of things you love, things you're good at, something you can get paid for, and something the world needs. And layer into it is your personal values and beliefs and who you actually are. But here's where it gets really, really fun, is that what you do is when you look at your list, you look at what did you see as a trend in the list. For me, it was speaking and teaching, speaking and teaching, speaking and teaching. And what does the world need is better speakers and teachers, right? Okay, so as I was doing this process, when you combine the 4 quadrants, something will emerge in your quadrant that you perhaps had not seen this before. And this is what happened to me when I was rehearsing and practicing for this very session. And again, I'm not going to get into it now because unfortunately we lost some time. But as I was literally writing down all the things that I love, right? So I started writing, that was my marker. So I started writing down things I love, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, I love watching movies. With the script. It's hard to see on there because it's terrible, but with a script. And I love speaking. I love personal development. Ooh, personal development. Like I am a personal development junkie. I just love personal development and, improving my life, right? Something I love too is I love fashion. But not just fashion, something called andro fashion. I love, like I said, cool blazers and jackets, pocket squares, shoes, accessories, you name it. I love it. And so I went, and then what am I good at? I said, okay, same thing, speaking. And some of those things kind of started to connect. All right, so as I went through, and what have I got paid for before is speaking, right? What is the trend? Hey, right now there's this whole Zoom trend. There is also there's the issue with, like I said, fatigue, stress, right? Stress, fatigue, etc. And people having to shift. And here's the thing that came up too here is shifting career. So shifting career came up. Also, I hadn't even thought about it, guys. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. A lot of people trying to reinvent themselves, reimagine themselves, right? I'm like, oh, interesting. As I was doing this stuff came up that I hadn't thought about. What this allows you to do is to expand your thinking, to expand your mind, think about things you hadn't thought about before. So as I went through this, I'm like, oh, what's the commonalities here? I'm like, oh, speaking, and then shifting career. This is interesting because it's an area that I love. I've spoken on, done workshops on. It's a legit concept session. Every time I go somewhere and I meet somebody new, I'm like, talk to me about, not just what you do, but who are you? Like, what do you want to do? And for the most part, I got to tell you, about 98% of the people that I meet, I don't care who they are, where I meet them, oftentimes I know for a fact that what they're getting paid for today, oftentimes is not what they really want to be doing. And there's something else. And so what I'm in search for, I'm the hunter. I'm like hunting for what else is there. And as I start talking to me, I can, through my intuition, my other skills that I have, my other mental skills that I have, I can connect to what they could be doing. So as I was doing this emerged, you guys, but listen what happened. I saw this little piece that I had like 12 things on this board. I had this one about watching movies with a script. Check this out. Watching movies with a script, right? And I thought, what, guys, and I'm doing this video now will be like what do you call it? On for trade, not trademarking, but copywriting. That basically this is the idea they came up with. This is what happened. I thought, I love personal development. I love career stuff. But I know that oftentimes what gets in the way of people's ability to do what they really want to do is themselves, their belief system, etc. Right? So what would happen, okay, if there was an app, okay, called Mastermind, and this is my app, Mastermind. And what this app did, because here's what I know, understanding how the brain works unconsciously, it all works unconsciously. Imagine if there was an app called Mastermind. And what this app did was that it would curate all the movies, the motivational movies, whatever it is you're trying to do in your life. There was like movie clips that you can put together and script your own movie. What? Script your own movie. And then as you script this, your movie, it had like your own favorite actors saying things that would inspire and motivate you. Because see, I understand how the brain works. The brain works at an unconscious level. So I have to re-script my unconscious mind in order for me to do what it is I want to do and get rid of limitations, et cetera, et cetera. What if there was like these movie clips, right? And say you wanted to, I don't know, in this case, let's talk about, excel and, and start a new career. And you had movie clips of movies that motivate you to do this, whether that's Rocky, something, key motivational things they said. And you create this little movie, it could be a minute movie, a 60 second movie, a 2-minute movie, where essentially all these clips, and you listen to it over 30 days. But you listen to it with actual live actors saying things to you. And imagine if this app could also somehow say your name in the process. Say my name, say my name. Okay, anyway. So, music break. That came through this experience. So I thought, this is amazing. Okay, so I wrote it down, Mastermind, an app. Because here's what the cool thing. Once you discover in your list things that come up that you haven't thought about before, think about these things. 2 things. One is, what can you create either digitally or physically as a product or even a service for that thing that came up? For me, digitally, I was like, what if there was an app? And then, of course, what if we created courses around this? And part of it is that we use film to script out literally what it is that people want. Because you see, that's literally what I have done to create some things that I wanted. I will actually, I don't have my phone around me, but I will actually pick up the phone and script what I want a potential client to say. I script what a potential client could say on email, and I kid you not, it has happened. People have called me and said literally the script that I created. So I know that scripting is important, and I love it. And I love screenwriting. And so that came through this experience, finding out what I love, right? What am I good at? And also, when it comes to scripting, I actually was not so much good at it. I dabbled in it, but I loved it. So I could actually get better at it. What if we scripted, literally wrote scripts about our future, and then we put it into film formation, and somehow this app would make it into like a little film with, opening credits, with the, a storyline, and then an ending to it. But you created based on what you wanted to accomplish. It's amazing. Ikigai is literally finding your purpose, finding your reason for being. And my reason for being, right, is to continuously come here and figure out a way to motivate people to truly do what they're here to do, their passion, not just their passion, but their purpose. So, let's do it one more time. As you go through this list, okay, when you figure out, so step 1 is you list out your things, right? Step 2, find the commonalities in all the 4 quadrants. Now, in some cases, when you look at the trends, there may not necessarily be a similarity, but there may be a need. And for me, it was shifting career. People are shifting their career. And I love screenwriting and scripting. And I love the idea of technology, right? How do we make it so that it's easy for people to do consistently? So, and you guys, this is the thing too. As you're on here, comment on here too. If this is making sense for you, right? Okay, good. If this is making sense for you, if you discover some pattern, because what we try to do here is discover a pattern. By the way, we're going to do this week, and we're going to do this again on the next Sunday service, because I want to continue this process, because I want to go deeper into you understanding what are the things that go into this, your values, things you care about, right? What has mattered to you throughout this entire process? What matters to you, right? So if you're, like I said, in the middle, and also, by the way, if you know other people in your life who are going through transition career, share this message with them. I want this to go to as many people as possible. Share it on your pages, share it on your LinkedIn, share it wherever you can share it, because people right now are struggling, trying to figure out what do I do next? How do I reinvent myself? And Ikigai is absolutely going to help that process. I'm going to end this here right now. I want to share with you this final thought, because ultimately, I like I said, I want to be able to help people get in touch with what matters most to them. And it's this. It's very simple. Whenever you have a desire, an inkling, an interest, something that starts to trigger your creativity, follow that train, follow it, because it'll lead you somewhere. There's a website called Masterclass, and Masterclass is artists and entertainers and people who are really good at something. They get paid for it, and maybe they're starting to see a trend that people need this, right? And by the way, Masterclass was created for that same reason. There's a trend, people wanted to learn more, and especially in the pandemic, people were consuming a lot of information. So the key here is that when you combine these four things and discover a trend for you, and that gives, that's just it's not you're gonna go do that, it's just that it inspires thinking. Follow that inspiration. So I was watching in Masterclass Timberland, and if you know, Timberland is a music producer, and he's produced anybody and everybody, from Jay-Z to Rihanna to Justin Timberlake, just a ton of artists. And he was teaching production, but also how to make beats. And I'm all about that, guys. Another thing I love is freaking rapping and just have fun with it. I don't care. I get paid for it. I just love it to drop down some bars. And one of the things he says about music, and for you maybe music, about music is that you just listen to it and just see where it takes you. As he's creating a beat, just see where it takes you. And it reminded me of creativity. You got to jump on that bandwagon and just see where it takes you. So if you're trying to find your Ikigai, or you're trying to figure out, hey, well, what am I here for? Try this methodology, right? And by the way, it can change over time. So don't feel like, this is the thing about that I've always had a problem with the word purpose and finding my purpose, my forever, is that people think it's forever, and it's not. It could just be momentary. It's very momentary. It could be just for the next few years. This is the thing that you do, and they can change later, and that's okay. People are not okay with that. People are like, oh, you got to stick to one thing and do it forever. No, sometimes that will change. It's okay if it changes. So I hope this has been useful for you. This is my Sunday service. I have all kinds of music prepared for you, but no worries. I just need to get the message to you, and I hope it lands in the right ears. I'll see you next time.